And we are live.
Cast.
All right.
What up, squad?
Zoomcast. That's what we do now.
What up, Broseph?
Yeah, I got a little fancy in the Zoomcast with the background, eh?
Look
I
at
see
you.
that. I see that. Like a real broadcaster.
You know
He's
me.
actually on a remote Caribbean island.
You have the hairpiece. You have the green screen. You're like a real broadcaster. You should have the shirt and tie on with no pants.
It's great. Hey, you could switch it to that, which is awesome. Or like one of these. Oh, we don't want to do that. But it's just things like that. We'll mess around.
I've avoided looking into who that dude is. You know that?
He was just a
No, I know, but I've avoided it. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, which guy?
He's like Tiger King.
No.
I can't have that stink on me.
Which guy are you talking about?
Oh, the large gentleman that pops up behind Dirt Malone. That is.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Subject.
The guy in the memes.
The subject.
He's the opposite of Tiger King. He's the guy that he passed away, and his video went viral of him naked, and he was he was struggling to make money and stuff, so he did porn, and all these memes came out, and they're like, what the hell, this guy's family should be getting money. So this one guy came out with a shirt that just has his face on it and says wash your hands, and all the proceeds go to his family, and I think they sold like thousands of them.
Well, that's awesome. I didn't know the guy. I
thought you were gonna say with pictures of his dick on the thing.
I didn't know.
Like, really, dude?
No, just his head.
I didn't know the guy passed away, so that's sad and tragic and unfortunate.
Tiger King's another story. I'm over that guy.
Yeah.
Pop culture. Speaking of like just memes and social media.
Yeah.
And we'll get in. We'll talk about the main topic of this cast.
Yes.
But I just had a moment of it's like every state is in a different part of the process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything is like there's ebbs and flows. One state's like totally wide open pool parties.
Yeah.
But I saw a picture of like someone at like an outdoor bar and restaurant with a burger and a beer.
Wow.
Like with their kids and their wife, like at a thing. And I was just like, how far? How many hours of a drive is that from here?
Wow.
Like it seems like we're still a couple of weeks, maybe 2 weeks, who knows, from that.
It's the simple things. You know what I mean? It's
right.
The simple things. And I mean, like my thing is like being 2 weeks from that. That's just an arbitrary thing, though, isn't it?
Yep.
Like you'll legally be able to do that.
Well,
right, but does it mean that it's a good idea? Like I like, for example, like I feel like there's like a lot of people who are just like, oh, I'm good on I'm good on the quarantine now,
right.
and I'm good on COVID, so I'm just gonna go about my life now as if everything's straight. And
gut instinct. It's like gut instinct and just kind of deciding when the mental anxiety and stress and frustration gets to a personal boiling point,
right.
Just deciding, okay, now our society needs to match where my head's at.
Right, but I am not a trained scientist or biologist or epidemiologist, but I'm pretty sure the virus doesn't give a fuck.
No, it doesn't.
About whether or not you're over it.
Right.
Like, oh, you're over it. It's like to me, like, don't get me wrong. There's a difference between people who are enduring like deep, like mental struggle, coping in this process, and like people who want to be at a pool party at the Mirage.
Right.
Like there's a drastic, because they're tired of hearing about COVID. Like that's not what this is. That's not what this is.
I know, but we all know that, like, I think there's like a human nature element where like
the weather's nice.
I just mean like after being indoors for so long and going through all this and the stress and anxiety and the financial anxiety, like all the things attached to it.
All entirely valid, yes.
There's a lot of people who lack self-awareness and they're not like don't occasionally take stock of where they're at and what they're feeling, and they just like
Sure.
go through life impulsively doing things in the moment, reacting,
Sure.
and not, they're not like thoughtfully going through it. And that's a certain percentage of the population, and those people are going to do that. Like, you open the bar, they'll go to the bar. You open the pool, they'll go to the pool.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and that's going to happen in and there's going to be states, a period of opening and closing. Like,
Right.
I say 2 weeks. Like, I haven't looked at exactly what Murphy said, but I think it's clear that he's not opening like the moment that everyone demands that the
Right.
place, the
Right.
state
Right.
gets open. Like, there's a different metric guiding it. And I think
Right.
like, my guesstimate of looking at how other states have done it and all that stuff, like, I would think like we're 2 weeks away, like around that
Interesting.
time.
Right.
But these things change. You have a big outbreak, you have to close the valve again.
Of course.
Like, that's going to be our lives. Open and close, open and close. Like, it's not just going to be fully open all the time. It's not going to be fully closed all the time.
Right,
We're going
right.
to be bouncing back and forth
Of course.
all over the state. But so that's, I think, in light of all we've been going through, and personally speaking, like what's coming up with GCode and what we're about to talk about, for me, could not be coming at a better time. I
Well, that's
think,
good.
I posted on Facebook and I saw like a lot of people reacting, and I think like everybody's in a place where what we're going to talk about and what we're looking to do can serve a purpose even bigger than it normally does. So we're talking 40 days and 40 nights, baby.
That's correct. The third.
Our annual event.
Our third.
Where, if you want to talk in detail about it, Greg, but basically like kick ass for 40 days, challenge ourselves for 40 days, a little more so than usual, if possible, and get outside of our comfort zones. But talk about that, Greg.
Yeah, man. The idea originated when I was coming up on my 40th birthday, and
Right.
I was thinking to myself, in terms of like you said, taking stock and self-awareness and being self-analytical. I think I go through phases, probably like anybody, where I'm either entirely oblivious or hypercritical, right? And I was going through one of those periods where I was just aware of all the things that I thought I could be doing better. And like my 40th birthday was coming up, which is like a milestone. So I was like, all right, well, if I was going to be the better version of myself, what would that guy be doing right now? So I, sort of went through a laundry list in my head of like what those things would be. And I thought to myself, oh, all right, like we were like 40 days out, at the time, 40 some days out from my birthday. And I thought, all right, well, what if we just make a thing of that and, try to underscore all the ways we could all improve in terms of mind, body, soul, our relationships, every aspect of our being, intellect, all of those things, right? How can you put more focus on things you need to focus on? Stop procrastinating with some things. I'm a serial procrastinator in some ways. With some things, I am jumping with both feet, the way of the samurai is one of immediacy. And then with other things, I'm just like, yeah, dude, whatever. It's not important. I'll get around to it. And that it's not important. I'll get around to it. Mind state is something that I think isn't productive and can impact other aspects of your life, right? And one thing that a lesson that I've learned in the process of all of this, and in life in general, and in terms of 40 days and 40 nights and whatnot, is when I have that impulse where I know that there's something that I need to do, but it's inconvenient in a way that sometimes you say, man, the last thing in the world I feel like doing right now is X. When I have that feeling, I have to go do that thing. Because the best version of me does that thing.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? And like,
yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, it's Aristotle, right? But the idea that excellence isn't like a virtue; it's a pattern of behaviors. You know what I mean? It's what we do repeatedly is who we are. So excellence, if we're constantly striving for excellence, then we ourselves become excellent beings. So it's like it's a flawed individual's pursuit of excellence. You know what I mean? And that's sort of what 40/40, aspires to be.
Give me 1 second here. I'm trying something.
Hey, Tech Diff. My favorite MC, Tech Diff.
Tech Diff.
Tech Diff.
Gatsby the Tech Diff. Easy.
You like that better right there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mike Bernhard. It's name spelled wrong. I thought it's Mike Bernhard.
Yeah, Michael Bernhard.
Trevor Peterson, Michael Bernhard, and Gary Santrasterio. They're my favorites.
So the names we stay under in the hotels, so the fans don't stalk us. All right, so here's what we're going to do. 40 Days and 40 Nights is coming up. We're basically announcing it right now, right?
Yeah,
Monday,
that's correct. Monday it
June
begins.
1st.
Monday
it's gonna
it begins. That's correct.
40 days, kicking ass, taking names, trying different things.
Yep.
Just to give you an example
Yep.
of some things that have been done in the past, I'm just going to grab some random ones I know we've all done. You did an unusual one last year to outrun Tom Brady's 40-yard dash to beat his time.
That was a cool one. I got to admit, that was dope.
I like those thinking outside the box ones.
Very
Greg,
much
I know
so.
you did like cardio every day and training every day, right?
Well, all right. So, one of the things that we talk about is the idea that how you settle into a pattern of behavior, right? And that the longer you stick with something, the more and more you are likely for it to become part of your lifestyle and not just a thing you do. So, a perfect example is when I started cardio for 40 Days and 40 Nights last year, I never stopped. So, I've done cardio 6 days a week, every single week since last year's 40/40.
Awesome.
So that's just an example of getting into a groove of something that is beneficial, but getting into a groove of it where it just becomes a part of what you do. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden it's not like this thing you have to do, it's just what you do. Like you brush your teeth. You eat breakfast. All right, well, it's just, it's
what's the saying about how long it takes to form a habit?
I want to say, is it like, I don't know if it's 40 days, but there's something about weeks, right? It's something about weeks. It's like 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, or something like that, in terms of human psychology and behavior.
I'm looking it up live.
Behavior modification. Like if I ring a bell right now, Dirt Malone jumps. Like he doesn't know why he jumps. He just jumps because the bell's ringing. It's Pavlovian.
Like that.
All right, so recently. The studies say on average it's like around 66 days, but it can range. There's a long range there. It can be 18, it could be 250. It depends a little on the person and the activity. But
right.
That's the first thing that came up for studies that I looked up here. It said 66 days. So, this is, but we've seen from 40 days how that can stick, and
of course.
Anybody who's taking some time off for the holidays and going back to the gym and all that, you can get into a groove a lot quicker than 66 days. I think 40 days is an awesome time period, even if it's not there's a couple different approaches in my mind. It doesn't necessarily need to be to form a habit that sticks either. It could also be maybe you're giving your body a different challenge for 40 days. You're working out differently, or you're resting more, or you're stretching. It can be things that are good just for a period of time.
Of course, sure.
We've seen people do all kinds of different things, but it's going to be, I think this year, man, just based on where everyone's at.
Of course.
And what's been going on in the world and in our country and in our area, in our industry, 40 days challenging yourself to pursue new things, to reach new heights, to even regain things that maybe have fallen off in the last, little while we've been adjusting to this curveball to get back on track. There's a lot of opportunity out there. And I also think with the disconnection that's happened, the social disruption, Greg, I saw you this weekend. It's the first time I'd seen you since Arnold weekend.
I know.
So that's what, 3 months?
Yep.
I still miss your pretty face. I haven't seen you. So it's been a while. And I think this is a good way for people to feel more of a connection that might be missing right now in a lot of people's lives.
It's been a while, since I've hugged a man.
Yeah.
You know, it's far too long since I hugged a man. I gotta
40
say.
hugs and nights.
That's it, man.
It's a good goal.
Absolutely. It is a good goal.
Gotta wear a
All
pair
right, so,
of Huggies every day.
so we're going to start with
Wear a
dirt.
Huggies,
Here's what
that's
we'll
fine.
do.
Okay.
We'll go around and we'll do one at a time.
Okay.
And we'll list our ideas, our goals, what we're each going to try to do individually during this 40 days. So, Dirt, why don't you set it off? Give us one of the Dirt Malone specials this year for 40 days and 40 nights.
All right, so I haven't really formulated all of them out
Okay.
yet, but my list from last year was I played off of the number 40, where I wanted to consume 40 ounces of Rise every day, grow my hair out for 40 days, beat Tom Brady's 40-yard dash, which I fucking did.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And be able to recognize or identify 40 species of birds.
I remember
That's
that.
right.
Now, I think we're going to ante it up a little bit because I've been on this running tip lately where
I see that.
I'm just like, you know what? Let's get the running going. Let's just start jogging and then going from there. And I've been picking up momentum. So for the 40 days, I'm going to double it. Since there's 40 days and 40 nights, I'm going to run 80 miles in 40 days.
Nice.
Awesome. I love it.
One.
Beautiful.
Now,
All right. That's awesome.
Coming back, or are we just explaining them all?
No, we'll go. Well, I mean, if you have more to add to that task, but we'll go around and we'll just keep going with each one. G.
Yeah. All right. Well, a groove that I got into last year that I haven't been as consistent with recently that I want to get back into is reading every night before bed. That's always been a good, as opposed, and that means not on my phone and not watching television, but actually reading something before bed every night. And that's something that served me really well as a kid, because I didn't have a TV in my room until I was like 17, 18 years old. So like as a kid, I read every night. So I want to get back in the groove of reading every night. So I'll definitely try. I'm definitely going to try to find something to read that I enjoy, that I find productive and worthwhile, positively stimulating. Something that stimulates my creative intellect. I find it to be calming, not only good for my mind in terms of intellectually, but good in terms of just relaxing me, putting me at ease, and getting into that groove, that ritual every night before I sleep is a good thing. So that's going to be one of them for me. I'm going to get in a groove where I read every night.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Along those lines, it'll probably have to be every night, but I got a couple books that are on my list. To me, I'm trying to hit every aspect: mental, physical, spiritual, like all that stuff, right? One of the things I was doing during these quarantine days and all that is going out into parks and trails and like just trying to get some sun and some fresh air, maybe walk by a stranger. Like, no, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like just to connect to the earth and feel good and feel better. And I found like instantly it helped me. It's like night and day. I went from like totally just sick of being inside and stressed and all this stuff, but like go one place for an hour once a week and it's like night and day. But so I was doing it at one of them, didn't know where we were going. Kaylee and I were walking, didn't know where the hell it was leading. We were just going, right? And ended up at some old, like 200-year-old house that was now the visitor center of a state park. And in front of it, it had a book drop.
Wow.
Right?
Those
like
are
a
cool.
little thing, cool.
Right?
Yeah. So like I randomly stumbled upon this book drop after like, I thought I was like in the middle of the woods and nowhere near anything. And like, it just opens up to this house with a book drop. So I came back the next week with a book that was like, oddly, when we were on our honeymoon, there was a book drop that we found, and it was the only book in English.
Wow.
Right?
Yep.
And so I grabbed this book. It was a book, like, I like serendipitous books, like a book I would never have read. I didn't know anything about or the reviews. It looked like a serious book. I read this book and I like really enjoyed it. Right. So I'm like, I wrote a little like little thing in it.
Nice.
And I'm like, I'm going to go take it back and exchange it for one of these books. I open up the thing. I'm not going to look up anything about this book. I have no idea if it's good. It might be for children. I don't even know yet. Okay.
Sure.
But this is the book. I don't know if you can see it. Can you read that backwards?
Wow. Murder at Ebbets Field.
Murder at Ebbets Field.
Wow.
Equal parts baseball and mystery is what it says at the top.
That's pretty awesome.
So I don't have any idea about this. It's got these Cracker Jack ball player images and stuff all over it, right? It
awesome.
looks like, it's like a real looking book. So that's one.
Wow.
And I'm going to read a couple others. But I'm like, I opened up the book drop thing. It was like front and center. And I'm like, did Kaylee race ahead of me and put this book in?
Right. That's so dope.
So I'm going to check that out. That's one of a couple books I'm hoping to read.
As is my tradition, allow me to completely sidetrack us.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So did you guys see what I sent you last night? Did you notice the text that I sent you last night?
Is this the memorabilia stores?
No, I sent you a text, but it's not unrelated though.
Okay.
I sent you a text last night with a Wikipedia entry on Honus Wagner.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I didn't get to read that one.
Okay, so I told you I was back watching the baseball documentary, the Ken Burns baseball documentary.
Yeah.
And what's incredibly dope is that you see like the evolution of the sport of baseball, right? And I think everybody, when they think about the old school all-time greats, they think about Babe Ruth, right? But there are guys before Babe Ruth that were equally huge.
Right.
And there was Ty Cobb before Babe Ruth. But then before Ty Cobb's like the 1910s to the 1920s.
Right.
And then Babe Ruth occurs after 1919 with the Black Sox scandal and basically saves baseball. He saves baseball. His persona and his hitting literally brought baseball back from the brink.
Well,
right? But the guy before Babe Ruth and then before Ty Cobb, 1900 to 1910, is Honus Wagner. And Honus Wagner is like the fucking star, right? And what's dope about Honus Wagner is that he's a fucking coal miner, right? He's from like a coal mining family. It ends up being the fucking star of the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? Ty Cobb is like one of the biggest douchebags like of all time, like one of the worst human beings ever in the history of pro sports in terms of just as a man, in terms of just like a terrible guy, and definitely scared out of his wits of Honus Wagner. like he knelt before Honus Wagner, right? Ty Cobb says Honus Wagner is the greatest baseball player who ever lived, right? But they were at a certain point they were peers. A really fucking crazy thing was that the first induction into the Hall of Fame, right? When the Hall of Fame was started was 1936, right?
Right.
And they had an initial class, and this initial class is supposed to be like the greatest the initial greatest players from the beginning of baseball, right? And it's like an introductory class. All the names are iconic. It's like Walter Johnson, Christy Mathewson,
right?
All those guys, right? Cy Young, etc. And the sports writers voted like they always vote. Who do you think got the most votes? If you guys had to guess, 1936, the first inductees into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Not to put you on the spot.
I couldn't even.
I don't know.
Okay, so Ty Cobb got the most votes. Okay. Second place was a tie between Honus Wagner and Babe Ruth.
Wow. Which
is fucking crazy, which will tell you how fucking huge Honus Wagner was.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, and also, the other thing that stimulated it was Dirt Malone and getting me fired up about baseball cards. Honus Wagner has the most expensive baseball card ever made, correct? Do you know that, Dirt Malone?
Is that the one that's like more portrait rectangle?
Yes. Yep. It's the T206 from 1909, right? And I think Keith Olbermann owns one. So in terms of famous people who own one, I think Gretzky owns one, and I think Keith Olbermann owns one. But It went for $3.8 million at auction.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
I gotta ask Pudge. He has baseball cards. We might have that one. I doubt it. But
I don't think he has that one. If he has that one, the Polsons can retire. So that would be nice. That would be nice. The whole Polson clan.
It's not cheap.
The whole Polson clan can retire. But yeah, Honus Wagner. So he like a first generation American son of immigrants, just like one of the dopest, like manliest, like athletic icons ever. And he was like a star before there were stars in sports. And the one last thing about him, the reason that card's so valuable, Derek Malone, you know the backstory?
I don't.
It's so valuable because back then they used to put cards with tobacco products. With cigarettes, with chewing tobacco, whatever, right? And Honus Wagner wanted to be a role model for little kids. And he said, I have all these kids who look up for me. I can't be in tobacco products. Pull my card. So they pulled his card, and they only ran a few of them that even got out into the circulation. So what you have is you have like the best baseball player of that era. And the card is so rare because they stopped making them immediately when they started.
Wow. That's sick.
So that's why it's so valuable. It's so valuable because none of them ever made it out into the world. You know?
Where to put them, right? It's like, I guess they were distributing cards at all these tobacco products, and they were like...
Well, I don't think they realized that it was like, that the cards were necessarily like something kids would love, maybe back then. They didn't know. So they were just putting these guys who were, because obviously grown men love sports, so they were just putting these cards, I guess, into tobacco products. And Honus Wagner, I guess, was hip enough to realize that, kids shouldn't smoke. So he's like, no, pull me out of there. I don't want to be, associated with tobacco. And then
could you imagine the one guy that was probably digging into like his red man? And he's like, oh, it's red.
I know. Oh, dude, of course. Shit. Of course. I mean, I don't know about Kendrick's era, but I can tell you countless. My dad being one of them. My dad was born in 45, so he lived through the 50s as a kid collecting baseball cards. And like, it's one of those situations. Sko has one with his toys where you leave one day, you come home and they're gone. And you're like, hey, where are my cards? And your mom's like, oh, I threw them out. right? And you look back because, parents didn't think that stuff had any value. But you look back at like the baseball cards from the 50s are worth, thousands and thousands of dollars. And, the only people who were ever able to cash out on that stuff were people who were lucky enough that they held on to them. You know what I mean? Or were even able to hold on to them. We talk about how much shit you lose when you move. It's like a perfect example of that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Crazy.
All right, Dirt.
Oh.
What else you got on the list?
That's an interesting story, Greg.
You're welcome for that sidetrack. You're welcome for that sidetrack.
All right, 40 for 40. Like I said, I haven't ironed these wrinkles out yet, but still playing off the 40. I'm going to keep it in the athletic realm. So the first one was 80 miles in 40 days. Which
I love it. I love it. Awesome.
The next one, I'm going to nail a 40-yard field goal. I'm going to try to fucking do it. I don't know.
That's awesome.
But we're going to get to it, and I'm going to film it, and we're going to put that down there. That's more.
Nice. That's
a great one.
That's a great one. That's legit, too. That's legit. A 40-yard field goal is no joke. So
that is legit.
That would be the ball on the 30-yard line, correct?
Yeah.
Are you?
I think you have more than that. I think you get 7. Wherever the yardage is, you add 17 to it.
I think
it's the field goal is kicked from 7 yards back from the line of scrimmage.
Right, and then you have the end zone is 10 yards.
Is 10 yards, right?
I think so, yeah.
Right, but so that would be the 23-yard line. Then you're saying?
Yeah, I think you have to. Yeah, a field goal is normally 17 yards longer than the distance of the line of scrimmage to the goal.
So from the
23-yard line, you'd have to kick it from.
All right, we'll write that down.
No. Wait a minute. No, that's not true, though. The 23-yard line would be the line of scrimmage.
Wait.
The 23-yard line.
And then so he has to kick it from the 30.
30.
No, because...
Yeah, because the end zone is 10 yards. and then 23 yards,
Oh, right.
and then
to
7
kick it,
back.
sorry.
Right.
Snaps from
Yeah,
the
yeah,
23-yard line. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
kick it from the 30,
Yep.
and it'll be 40 yards. If
Yep.
you're just kicking it straight. Wait, is there defense coming to block?
No, dude.
Yes, it's you.
Socially distanced offensive line? How does that work?
It's you. It's you and me.
Cut out fans that go like this, so I can act in front of it.
I want like a cardboard cutout of like, of like Ed Reed jumping or something. Troy Polamalu.
Yep. That's it.
You need a fat head of Troy Polamalu.
It's awesome.
That's awesome, man. That's a good one. Greg.
All right. So, I have a little disclosure to make. I've already kind of begun.
Okay.
I am fucking starving over here because my goal is to my goal every year is to be in the best shape I can be in by my birthday. So as of Tuesday, I've been trying to clean up the diet, and I will tell you, gents, that I am fucking starving all the time because my problem is that, like, here's my problem. My problem is that I'm a skinny kid by nature, and I train a lot, so my metabolism gets revved up. And I need like carbs and stuff to keep fueled and to not be starving all the time because I feel like I burn through a lot of calories. But I also feel like if I'm going to get in shape, like I'd like to be, or make progress in that direction in however many days it is until my birthday, right? 30 some days. I need to make certain like concessions. So like I've cut like, so the bowl of cereal before bed is gone.
Oh,
right.
Stuff like that. Like utilizing like potato rolls for chicken sandwiches and burgers, like that's out. Stuff like that. So I cut a lot of that stuff out already. And what I find, this is only 3 days in. What I find is that I struggle to fill that calorie gap. You know what I mean? Like I know it means I got to eat more clean food. You know what I mean? Is the difference, but it's just hard. So like I know like where my maintenance calories are, and I think I'm like way below it, and I'm just hungry all the time, and it's a terrible place to be. So I'm hoping I can get into a groove where I'm not so hungry all the time. But that's what I've begun.
Awesome.
So
nice.
Wait, so what would that be considered if you had to write it on the list?
Clean eating.
Yeah, just clean eating, try to, with a purpose in mind. Clean eating with a purpose.
My next one involves clean eating, although it's not necessarily the motivation for it. So, I just got my New Jersey fishing license.
Nice.
Okay.
Welcome.
Yes, brother. So, I was at my grandfather-in-law's last week, and he has these massive trees in his backyard that he planted.
Wow.
So he's been in his house like 50 years, and he's seen these trees like grow up, right? So just kind of go along with the theme of like connecting to everything. I'm going to take something, and I'm going to give something back. So I'm going to catch, clean, cook, and eat a fish.
Beautiful.
That's my goal. All right. I've caught a fish before. I've eaten a fish before. I've cooked a fish before.
Right.
The cleaning is really going to be the learning part. I don't think it's going to be like incredibly difficult, but I've never done it. I want to be able to do it. So that's going to be
fresh water or salt water?
Fresh water.
Okay.
Awesome.
You want to catch walleyes, go.
I love it.
All right. Well, I got a couple lakes that I've discovered in my travels that I'm going to be frequenting. So I'm going to take a fish and I'm going to put a tree somewhere.
I've always thought fishing was good for the soul. It's something that I need to get into at some point in my life.
Well, I like it's definitely not like it's definitely a calming thing.
That's what I'm saying. It seems meditative.
You have to be patient and
meditative and relaxing. Something also about it.
Yeah, so I'm going to take something from the land and put something back in.
I dig that.
And plant a tree. So you're going to catch, clean, and cook a fish.
Yep.
You're going to plant a tree.
Yep. Taking out a fish, giving back a tree.
I love it.
All right, I'm writing this down so
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I like that.
I dig it.
Can you clean a fish, Dirt?
Yeah. I have a
I don't-
YouTube video on my if you go to Dirt Malone on YouTube and you look at it, we caught a walleye. When I lived on the lake for a year,
Okay.
my buddy Grable, who I lived with, he taught me everything there's to know about fishing. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know shit about fish or fishing
Right.
points, spots, lures, all that. And we would go out and catch these walleyes, which, you know, they had these big ass eyes, and these things would get up to like 2 feet.
Right.
You know, 2 or 4 feet go. And the one time it was really late at night, we would go night fishing, and we caught like 3 of these. And the bigger one we brought back. We like cut it, we cleaned it, and we cooked it. It wasn't enough meat, but we made like a little corn salsa with it, and it was really good. So,
Wait, so a 4-foot fish was not enough meat?
No, it was like it was a 2-foot fish for us, but
Right.
the way the walleyes are, they're more like head and I don't know. I don't know. I guess we didn't really do a great job of filleting it and skinning it, but it was an experience, and it was a clean fish. So if you want to go out there and go fishing, I could take you to some places too.
I'm in, brother. I'm in. I think I have enough to do it. So I've also discovered a couple places like remote lakes and stuff that I'm digging. I'm just gonna go chill for the day one day. You know,
Fucking beautiful. Beautiful.
see what I can get.
Just don't eat any bass. Don't eat bass.
Why?
No bass? Why?
Those are like the fish you catch and you throw away. You just don't really. There's like certain fish you should research it. There's certain fish you want to eat.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up like what fish are in what lake I go to. See if I can, you know.
You got to document it all. I got to see this. I got to see.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, I'm gonna show it. I'll show you the fish tacos I eat.
Oh man,
That's what I'm going for.
killing me.
All right, so who is up here? Are we back to Dirt Malone?
All right, so we're back to me, and
So give me a recap. What were your first 2?
All right, so the first 2 were to run 80 miles in 40 days.
Right.
To kick a 40-yard field goal. So those are 2 little athletic ones.
Awesome.
So now the third one is kind of be for the knowledge is power genre. So with my background as a visual communicator or designer, I kind of want to not so much go back in time, but look at artists that are current and some artists from way back. You know, when I was in college, I didn't really pay attention much to, the different art classes and, some of the sculptors or painters, except for some of the obvious. So what I want to do is I want to hone in some of the knowledge and maybe pick up some tips from these artists from, the Renaissance days or contemporary artists now, and just kind of pick an artist for a day for 40 days, kind of get to know that artist and see their style, and kind of keep it in the back of my mind for, some future GCode drops or some ads or some cool and dope shit, and just, expand my knowledge on the people that are out there in the world, either past or present, that are making dope shit. So
that was heavily a part of Go Hard.
Yes.
Right? Like we used to like get old books. We would like look everywhere we could to find cool images, obscure shit.
I know.
There was a lot of like, from Renaissance artists to modern artists, like a lot of inspiration for a lot of the stuff we did came from random places like that. A lot of stuff from history and whatnot, stuff from fashion. It's fucking cool. It's cool. It would be cool to infuse GCode with some of that juice. I know Sco's fond of that juice.
Hell yeah.
So an opportunity to bring some of that back would be great. That's very cool there. I think it.
Just knowledge is power, and just kind of look at some of these people who dedicate their lives to like a specific style.
Right.
And just learn about them, and all these artists are fucked in the head. So
Of course.
But there's beauty in the madness, Jay.
Of course, it's part of it. It's part of the deal. It's part of what you signed up for.
All right, G.
All right. Well, one thing that it's a little bit more terrestrial, but I want to do something physical with the girls every day. So like, whether that means bike ride, whether that means hike here, whether that means, baseball, football, the different sports we play. I want to just make sure that you make time to do something physical every day, because you know how it is, like with anything, things get hectic, it gets late, all of a sudden that thing you wanted to do, you didn't do, fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow. I want to try to make a priority to make sure that we do something like that every day. So like I said, obvious things are, you know, riding bikes out front, you know, there's like a little nature trail near us, walking that. We have, you know, baseball gloves, so we play catch in the backyard. Football, like just watching their progress on a regular basis with it is fucking cool. Because you know, it's like one of those things. It's like, and just how you come back to something over and over again. I think it's interesting how we forget. You know, when you reach a certain age, or when you get good at certain things, where you get sort of set in your ways as well, right? You forget what it is to make rapid progress in something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And like to literally watch Sienna in the course of like 4 days. An interesting thing, right, is that Sienna had multiple bikes with training wheels, and we never got out to ride much, right? So I was like, all right, enough's fucking enough. No more fucking training wheels. We got this fucking BMX bike in the garage. You're gonna go out, you're gonna fucking ride, and it's enough of the bullshit, right? And literally in like 2 days, she's riding. Yeah. And the funny thing is, right, that Penelope Jellybean's bike, she has like a Mickey Road Racer's bike that has training wheels on it, and something weird was rubbing. They're alone would probably know what it is. Something weird was rubbing with the brake on the back wheel, where like you'd be going, and all of a sudden there would be like a hesitation on the bike. Like she'd be going, and then all of a sudden the tire would catch a little bit on the brake, and then she'd be fine, and then it'd catch again, right?
If it's a disc brake, it could be that the rim is bent or something, or spoke.
It's definitely something simple like that, but it was throwing her off. So I was like, all right, enough of the bullshit. Just get on the bike with Sienna. And then literally 2 days later, now neither one of them are using training wheels.
Nice.
Awesome.
Like in literally 72-hour period, they both went from training wheel dependent to not needing training wheels. And I thought, that's fucking amazing. Or I think of like when the first time I threw them a baseball and they tried to catch it and they tried to throw it back to me, and the difference between that and where they're at now, where they're catching the ball more times than they're not, they're throwing the ball back and they look like ball players. And I'm like, wow, it's not like that was months and months and months. That was like a couple weeks. And it reminds you of like what it is when you get in a groove and you're repetitive with something, how you can make progress like quickly. So it's like, I've seen that in them, and it's inspiring. And I think to myself, all right, well, that's cool. Like, you know, what can I do in that same way where I can make the progress that I made when I got serious about the different things that I love, you know? So,
well, dude, think about it. If you were to teach them,
it's a reminder that practice makes perfect, you know?
So think about it. If you were to teach them, like, say, baseball, you got to learn how to hold the bat. You got to learn how to swing the bat.
We got a team. We got a team. Yep.
It's just you constantly are picking up the new points in the sport that you have to, you know, hone in and keep in the back of your head. And then for 40 days, I think you could do something like that. Where
Hell yeah.
Multiple sports or a sport, but that's sick. I want to see that.
Yeah. For sure.
Awesome.
Oh.
All right. Well, I didn't do a physical one yet. I'm gonna do 75 push-ups a day.
Interesting.
So 3,000 push-ups total. Kind of like a weird number, but just doing the math. You know, I've had this weird shoulder thing that's been bothering me for like, I thought it was a shoulder thing, like the last year almost. Right. And just in the last couple months doing home workouts and stuff and just thinking about what the hell it could be, I think I got a herniated disc.
Oh, shit.
That's really what I think it is, because like it won't heal. I think the same, like when I sneeze, it hurts, you know, like all these things that pointed me towards that.
Where is it, Scott?
In between, like the point of underneath my shoulder blade and my back.
Okay.
Like, you know, right in the hock there. It's hard to pick exactly what I like.
Is that where we had the canot?
Yeah, me and Derek Malone have had comparable injuries where it's like we call it the canot.
Yeah.
But it's like I think it's like I think it's muscular though. I don't know if it's a disc because a disc. I think a disc, in terms of from a biological standpoint, I think a disc would be. Man, I'm getting bombed here. Hold on. I think a disc would be in the middle. I think a disc would be in the middle of your back. All right, baby, come on. I gotta finish up. I love you. I love you. I gotta finish up. I think a disc would be in the middle of your back.
Right in the middle. Yeah, you're probably right.
I think so. So I tend to think that it's muscular. That's my guess.
What's up,
right.
Sienna?
Well, I'm gonna see. How you doing there, cutie? We're setting our goals for the next 40 days, and you're a part of it.
She knows 40 days and 40 nights are on deck. She knows. She's well aware.
We need you to eat 40 pizzas.
She's well aware.
40 pizzas you have to eat.
You said you have to eat 40 pizzas in 40 days.
It can't be big.
You can. I believe in you.
He believes in you.
I was going to try to do 100 a day, and I just want to keep it reasonable, like just for that injury. If I need a day, if I need a day, I don't want it to be like I took a day off and now I'm screwed for the month. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, of course. So I figure like if I need a day, even if it's 6 days a week for the 6 weeks or whatever, like I could still average. I'm going to average 75 a day. You know what I mean? So if I take a day off, then I got to do 3 that are 100, and that's how I'm looking at it. So,
I mean, it's an interesting thing that people do, that I've done at points in my life, right, where whether it's push-ups, sit-ups, those sort of body weight exercises where you get in a groove. I think ball players do it a lot. I think fighters do it a lot, especially when you're young. Especially when you're not necessarily doing like formal lifting, where like before bed you might do 100 sit-ups or 100 push-ups or 100 crunches, 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, crunches, whatever. Are you planning on doing it a certain time of day or just getting it in? The
second I wake up is my goal.
Okay, cool.
I'm kind of using it as a way to further organize my day and just start things off on the right foot. Like boom, wake up. 75 push-ups. I'm going to try to do a lot of them like outside on grass, but regardless, it's going to be like one of the first things I do in the morning. It's not like I don't view it as like this crazy Herschel Walker level thing, but I also think that's kind of like the spirit of this is not to be like, of
course, I'm
going to save 50 grand in 40 days. I think things that require unsustainable or you know what I mean, like cartoonish things.
Unsustainable is one of Sco's words.
Unsustainable
and problematic. No, those are amazing.
Like to me, it's more realistic for me to like I could be like 10,000, like 3,000. I can do that. Actually, going out there doing it would matter to me. So that's the number I've got: 3,040 days. 75 a day.
Ultimately, like the key word for 40/40 is consistency, right? So it's just the idea of how 75 is certainly substantial, but it's like you're saying, it's not 1,000 a day or something so ridiculous that it's unsustainable.
Right. I miss a day and I'd be doomed,
But it's also the thought that, all right, 75 a day for 40 days, that adds up. Well, 3,000 push-ups is substantial. Wow. So it's like, it's about those, like the smaller investments and how they add up incrementally. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I had a 2 or 3 month period where I was doing like 50 sit-ups a day.
Right.
Or 300 a week or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, because it was the same thing. Like I did the math and I'm like, wow, over time. So it doesn't seem necessarily like a daunting number while you're doing each 50. But if you do that consistently, man, at a certain point I was like, wow, man, I'm at like, I've done a couple thousand sit-ups here since I started.
Of course.
So I'm going to try to do that with the push-ups. And we'll see where it goes.
I dig it. That's awesome. It's awesome.
You can do it.
Love it.
Get it.
Hell yeah.
That's
beautiful.
Take a photo of your chest before and after.
The progress of the chestal region.
That's right.
That's right.
All right, Dirt, what else you got?
All right, so the other one is 40 Days of Dirt's Detox Tea Cocktail. And it's something that I've been doing on the regular this past month, where it's I get the tea kettle going. I get a couple tea bags. I get honey, lemons, and some apple cider vinegar. And I just make like this detox cocktail. And I let it sit. I let the tea bag steep a little bit, and then I put it in the fridge. And after I'm done training, I'll sip on that as kind of like a recovery elixir.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something that, subconsciously I feel has been helping me and, helping me with my mind and my body. And, I get these, I guess it's gut detox, and it's also like a body detox tea. And then like has turmeric, epinacea, lemon. I guess it was called it. Yeah. So I just put a bunch of that stuff and make this big cocktail. So 44 days of that.
Beautiful. I love a cup of tea, and I think that the therapeutic benefits of tea are a big deal. So that's awesome, man. That's fantastic.
That's awesome. It's a good one.
Fantastic. Yeah.
All right, G, you're up.
All right. I don't have a fully formed list yet either.
No, it's all good.
But one of the obvious ones is always a focus for me. This is related to training again. Is to be more and more efficient with my workouts. I was once the type who would do marathon workouts, and I've often said that with mastery comes efficiency. Mm-hmm. And from a time standpoint, and from a getting out what you put in standpoint, I want to improve the efficiency of my training. Sort of started with me when Coach Stan put me onto the POF training. Remember when we were talking about the positions of flexion training? And, the more and more I talk about it, I look into like heavy duty training and Dorian Yates style of training. I remember talking with Paulie I from PI Fitness, where he was talking about his training when he was like in his 30s or whatever. And he met Dorian Yates, and he's talking to Dorian about what he does. And Dorian said, I want you to go home tomorrow and cut what you're doing in half. Right. And then 6 weeks from now, take that and cut it in half again. The idea being that more isn't necessarily better. Better is better. And how do you extract the most from the least amount of time of sets, all that. So one of my goals is just to be more and more efficient in my training. So
awesome.
And I think that with that efficiency will also come progress.
Yeah.
And I think that you lose sight of the fact that we all got a lot of mileage on us to varying degrees, and the more and more training you do, the thousands and thousands and thousands of reps of tricep extensions and all that stuff. Like, all right, well, if I can get just as much out of 30 total reps as I can out of 150 reps, right? That means that I might have done 150 amount of reps, but got the same amount out of it. And that frees me up for the next 5 workouts, where as opposed to doing that 150 reps in a single workout. And then and how that progresses from there. You know what I mean? So Absolutely. Just that mind state about being more efficient and more effective.
Dude,
nice.
The big thing with that you'll realize is like, don't change a song every time you're training, and don't look at the phone. That's what I found. I'm like, sure. Go to the next thing, then go to the next thing.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
The phone can definitely disrupt. All right, Dirt. What else you got on your docket there, Dirt?
You're up.
Oh, I'm up?
You're
All right,
up.
well, I got a couple things.
What was your first one about the reading? Yours is catch a fish, clean, cook, then plant a tree. The 70.
Take something out, put it back in with nature. I got a list of a couple books I'm gonna read. Okay. And I am doing the push-ups. I'm trying to hit like a bunch of different things here. I'm going to volunteer for a political campaign. That's gonna be one of them.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm gonna volunteer for a political campaign, do a little civic duty, try to get that in, even if it's an hour a week or whatever it is. That's one. And the other thing I'm trying to do because I'm like kind of focused on like not just improving myself, but things around me.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have a goddamn pandemic, so things have been better than they are right now. And I'm thinking like, all right, well, rather than just be upset that things aren't great, like what can I do to make things better? What little positive contributions, So I'm going to work on a political campaign, whatever the hell they need. And I'm also going to go to parks and trails I've been to and take out a trash bag worth of garbage.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to try to clean up. I've been to a couple places where it's like this beautiful place, and then there's like 100 water bottles just in the brush. I'm going to take those out.
Kind of like adopting a part of the trail, you know? Something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly, man. Like, trust me, man, you could fill 1,000 trash bags some of these places, especially with people flooding there in the last couple months. So I'm going to try to clean up a couple parks, a couple trails, take a couple bags of trash out.
I like that.
No, come here, wave and say bye to everybody. Say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Sienna.
Hey, shawty.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Um,
I'm writing all these down just so you guys know.
Good.
that's awesome. That's what we need. Accountability, right? That's a big part of it, right? Accountability. Holding
Yeah,
ourselves
G, I don't know if you
accountable.
missed it. So I said I've just added 2. Going to work on a campaign. I'm going to take some trash bags worth of garbage out of some state parks.
I love it, man. It's fucking amazing. You know, we got into a groove where, like, by my house, there's like a little trail. It's not like a technically designed to be a hiking trail, but it's just like a trail that's blazed through the woods here.
Yeah.
And
I'm grabbing something. I'll be right back.
Yeah. We've just gotten into a groove of like grabbing cans and bottles as we walk. Yeah, there you go. Grabbing cans and bottles as we walk.
Picker.
You see that?
Picker at the real American.
Not fucking around, dude. We got pickers.
Yeah, grabbing a can and a bottle, you know, cans and bottles and that kind of stuff, taking them back and throwing them in our recycling because what the fuck, you know? And it's like, dude. And it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things. It's not unlike, you know, we've had this conversation before about like the shopping cart, right? Like we've had that conversation before.
Right.
And it's funny because I saw that like turned into a meme, but that's a Squadcast conversation before. Like these tiny things that people blow off. Oh, there's a piece of trash. Picking that piece of trash up, throwing it out. Right, takes 0 effort and 0 time. Right. Yeah. But so many people will blow it off. Right. And it's like becoming the guy who doesn't blow that off. Right. Yeah. The shopping cart. Like, you know, I've gotten. It's funny because I've gotten into a groove where, you know, I always take a shopping cart. I always take my shopping cart back, obviously, but if I see other stray ones near me, I'll put those back too. Right. And it's funny, I did that the other day, and some guy stops me. He's like, "I saw what you did. That's a good thing." I was like, "You scared the shit out of me. You scared the shit out of me." I was like, "What, man?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, man. Hey, you know," I said, "We all got to do our part." But it's like these little tiny gestures, and then you think about the exemplary status of noble action, and that guy saw me do that, and now that guy might do that. And, you know, and it's like those little fucking things, right?
Man, dude, examples matter. You know, it's one thing I believe.
Pushing carts at Costco, man. I will always put my cart back.
Of course.
Realize that. It's like, oh.
It's like working in the service industry. You understand how you'll never treat a waitress or a bartender or anyone because you've been treated like that. You've seen that side of it, you know, for sure. Yep. You know, it is 40 days and 40 nights, and I was thinking, you know, Dirt Malone getting me fired up with regard to the sports cards. Does anybody remember who the first member of the 40-40 Club was?
It was Canseco?
Oh my God, it's in the book.
Wow, there you go.
Got it.
That's 86 Fleer, Jose Canseco. That's 86 Donruss highlights.
Not related to Jose Vizcaíno.
Canseco. And that's a guy who's like done much shame to himself at this point.
Nice.
Some young Canseco action. He's done like, you know, he's really sullied his reputation in 100 ways, Jose Canseco at this point. But he was such a bad motherfucker when he was young. It's such a shame, right? You think about how like you can be such like a cool fucking pop culture figure and go from that to like, I don't know, an outcast in the course of however many years.
I think here's a free idea. We always do this. Give out a free idea to someone to make millions of dollars.
Go ahead.
I think somebody should take like the Cansecos of the world.
Yes.
And make like broken jerseys for lack of a
Interesting.
better, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
Yep.
jerseys that are kind of like, not like
Tainted.
cut and sew, but like have like a little bit like of an edge, and they're like not quite as clean as
Right.
professional jerseys.
Right.
And it's
Sure.
but it's like a Canseco, like broken A's jersey.
Nice.
And you take these guys, like, without going too far into the scandalous where, you know, it's like,
sure.
you know, guys who've killed people or whatever, but like
Sure.
get those kind of controversial figures in each sport.
Yeah.
And do kind of like an outcast, you know, problematic. That's what I'm looking for. Kind of set of jerseys, you know.
And you know, it's one of those things too where it's like, I'm comfortable enough, and I have enough like, I guess, ability to suspend reality in certain ways where and I'm not talking about like OJ.
Right.
But just, you know, in general, like a guy like Canseco, I can forget about all the bullshit and just remember when he was like this phenom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Bash Brothers, McGuire and Canseco, and any of the baggage that came afterwards. But for that period there, they were fucking awesome. So like that good juice to me is still incredible. And I try to not let it be sullied and tarnished by all the fucking bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm able to compartmentalize my mind a little bit in that way.
You have to sometimes.
Yeah, I gotta show you just one.
Show me.
Across.
Oh, dude.
See that? See that?
I do see it. I do. The background's fucking it up. But yes, dude, let me tell you, primetime being on the Yankees was one of the coolest fucking things ever, right? Because he was my favorite football player. And coming out of Florida State, right, and on the Falcons, he was so fucking good. And the fact that the Yankees drafted him, and that for a little while there, for a cup of coffee before he ended up on the Braves and wherever the hell else, the Reds. When he was on the Yankees, it was just too fucking cool. The fact that Dion was a Yankees prospect.
Yep.
I got to dig in the crates. I got some Dions in the crates. I got to dig in the crates. I'll bring them for the next cast. Primetime cast.
When I saw it, I was like, holy shit, Deion Sanders fucking Yankee card? That's nuts.
Yeah, that's 1990. He's a rookie there.
And I came across boxing cards too.
Nice. Boxing cards.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, you don't want to do Arturo Gatti, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
of course.
Kind of like you know, if you did a series of garments for the more controversial figures in sports.
Yeah.
And made them like a little off-centered and a little ragtaggy and a little like all that, you know, it could be a cool thing.
Speaking of controversial figures, I heard that Iron Mike Tyson is going to be on AEW Wrestling. I don't know if he has been yet, but I heard he's going to be. And that he's in the process of working on a comeback. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, they say
we've discussed this already where Sco talked about what it would cost to be struck in the head by Iron Mike. And he said, no, thanks. I'll pass.
Yeah, I mean, like, you
keep your dough.
If you were saying the stomach.
Yeah, of course.
You know.
You got to fight. You got to fight or shit.
How much do you get hit in the head with a bat?
Right. No, of course. yeah, I know. Exactly. You know? That's what it is.
But him and Evander are talking about coming back. There's all these, like, things, like, agreed to a fight. Like, every day I see another article, and it's not accurate. You got to wait and see.
Of course. Yeah,
but
for sure.
I believe they will both get big paydays.
They will, of course.
You know, it'll happen.
Of course.
The thing that's, you know, look, Tyson seems like mentally healthy.
Yeah.
But I don't know what his financial situation is.
I think it's good. I think he's in good shape.
I think so too. Like, you know, I hope he was exploited pretty bad.
He was at one point, but I feel like he came back.
I feel like turn into that. You know,
I feel like he came back from all that. Yeah. I feel like he's old. I feel like he's older and wiser now, though. I get the impression.
Right? Yeah. But you know, he did lose his last couple real fights pretty convincingly.
Of course, yeah, he did.
And it now, because we're all nostalgic and everything, it's like easy to forget that. But like, you know, he wasn't doing well against like a couple mediocre boxers
That's true.
20 years ago.
True.
I don't know how it's gonna go if it's a real fight, but you know we'll be rooting for him to like pull a Foreman and like, you know,
of course,
sneak a Maybe he beats 3 bums and then gets a title fight and pulls a rabbit out of his hat.
The one problem is that like you look at how big like Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury are just in terms of reach and height and stuff like that, and it you know, they're powerful, and also because they're so big, it's awkward. And
it's like Lennox. Yeah.
Right. The thought of Mike fighting him at this point is like, fuck. I don't know. Just seems, I don't know. It was funny. I saw Teddy Atlas talking about it, and he's like, you know, they're talking about Teddy Atlas being one of his trainers in Mike's youth under Custom Auto, and they were talking about you know, the footage of Mike training, and Teddy Atlas is like, watch this. And he's like, I look pretty good right there, right? He's like, and he's like, but I'm not getting in the ring right now against, you know, whoever the fuck he said. I'm not getting in the ring against a contender right now. And the way he said it was so perfect. Yeah. I'm like, you're right. He does look pretty good right there when he did that. And that doesn't mean that he can go fight right. Teddy Atlas can go fight right now.
It's a big difference.
And that's, I think that's kind of the point he was making. And I'm like, yeah, it's a very valid point. It's a very valid point.
He said,
yeah. And he did it. Teddy Atlas looked great when he did that.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he's got great technique, everything. It's Teddy Atlas.
Of course. And still quick hands and all that. It doesn't mean he can go fight right now. And to say that's the point he was making, you know.
Well, who knows, you know.
Of course. I'm not wet blanketing it. I'm all for it, man. Whatever. As long as he can come through this thing and maintain his health.
Yeah.
Then it's fucking cool. It'd be cool to watch the journey.
All right, Dirt, you got 40 days to get in shape to fight Tyson.
Yep. No big deal.
Hit those miles.
No.
All right, is there anything you guys left out? Anything you want to hit? Obviously, we got a couple days still to share.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
full list and all that.
I'm gonna work on my list on refining it.
Yeah,
awesome.
I saw just we should be. Look at
Dirt.
That. Look at you, Dirty Malone. It's happening. I was sitting here getting ready to talk about about you creating fire, and you're creating fire in real time.
Creating fire in real time, guys. All right.
Well, so just, you know, I got to point out that in the midst of mayhem, in the midst of quarantine, these 2 fucking hats came out.
Sick.
Like, I gotta say, that is not amateur hour, my friend. No. That is not Bush League. That is not Jordan AA Birmingham Barons, man. This is like fucking legit.
Yeah. You know what's funny is you start to realize like people have different styles and hats. They're like, I can't wear the curb brim. I gotta wear this one or that one, and everyone's got different tastes. But
fucking
hats are fucking butter.
Look at that. That fucking crown is nuts. And then we got the raised one back here, like the starter cap.
I like that one a lot, yeah.
Fucking beautiful, man. Beautiful fucking hats. Super proud of the progress that we've made in terms of just stepping up on every level, right? In terms of construction, design. They're fucking huge.
Couldn't be of a higher quality.
Huge tip of the cap to you, Dirty Malone, for fucking executing all this shit, man.
Dude,
fucking awesome,
man. They're available now, those hats too. People don't realize.
Well, first I gotta point that out. Now that is pretty fucking amazing, I gotta say.
Yeah, I like it.
That's got a little Tinker Hatfield action going on, I gotta say. And then
you want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
Not to hijack it, but this
hijack it.
So Tinker Hatfield?
Yes.
Hatfield.
Yes.
Those Hatfields, dude. The
really?
Hatfield and the McCoys, that's Tinker Hatfield.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he descends and is part of the famous rivalry between these 2 families that are like, you know, you don't know who they are, but the names.
Of course, the Hatfields and the McCoys. Wow, that's fucking nuts.
Yeah, from West Virginia, them beefing in the late 1800s.
Wow.
A famous family feud.
Wow, that's fucking crazy.
Tinker Hatfield descends from. Hold on, I know it's in here. No, it's definitely true. McCoy.
Hats don't like each other.
Let me see where this is. because I read it the other day and I was like, you got to be.
Speaking of Hatfield, Dirt Malone, I have a story about this particular hat that I will share with the world. I'm not gonna do it now in the cast, but this hat, the roots of this hat go deep. They run so very deep, Dirt Malone.
Yes, they do run deep. And you know what's funny is that there's another piece of inspiration that you and Coronado were flicking on and off, back and forth, that we got to make happen. And you know what the hell I'm talking about.
I do know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, I think that's going to be amazing. I'm excited about that.
Very excited. Find this thing, dude. We could say we got 5 minutes left on this countdown for these freaking free Zoom meetings that were compiled.
It's almost time for eating.
Like we said, we're going to keep this whole thing to 40 minutes.
That's right.
We're so good to go. It's right up there with technical difficulties.
It's a tech diff. Tech diff.
Dirtiest thing you've eaten.
Eaten.
We got to get that in.
Eaten.
Especially with 4 days coming up. This is like the final eaten.
Yeah, oh man.
Although I'm going to get an eaten in this weekend.
No. Wait, I'm going to get an eaten in this weekend, and I think I'm going to block off at least probably a meal on the weekend where I get some fucking calories in, because I don't know if it's good on any level if I try to be as chaste as I'm being right now for 40 straight days. So I think at least one time a week, I'm like probably on a Sunday or something, I'm gonna eat like something that I want to eat, something that's more calorically dense for sure. And then it's like, on a practical scale, if you're keeping your shit on point, it gives you something to look forward to all week to work towards.
Yeah.
You got to earn that shit.
You got to give the body something on a day, man.
And you got to earn it. It's like you're working towards it.
That's right.
Eaton, did you see Tara made homemade crisp cookie cereal? Did you see that?
No, I did not see that.
Little chocolate chip like brookie cookies.
Yeah.
And I ate some out of the GCode bowl mug, the mean mug, in Fairlife milk.
I'm salivating.
It should have been an image that we posted on Instagram, man.
You're right. It should be. I bet you I could find one.
The quarantine cuisine video that she did was freaking phenomenal.
I know.
Holy shit.
I know. She shot it vertical because she didn't realize what the Dirt Malone fucking specs were. But yeah, it's fucking nuts. The cookie burger.
It's insane.
What about eating for you fellas?
Dirt.
Clean, man. I've been eating pretty damn clean. I have some icy creams.
Nice.
Aaron's been making these like chocolate peanut butter banana muffins. We wait for the bananas to just get all black and mushy, and then we cook up some of those. But for the most part, I've been eating pretty damn clean. I got to go off the wagon tonight, I think. That's what it's gonna be. Scott, what about you?
I had a little McDonald's this week. I had a McDonald's, a couple burgers, and a shake, a strawberry milkshake.
Good for you.
McDonald's.
How's the strawberry milkshake from McDonald's? I don't know if I've ever had one.
Oh, it's good.
I'm a strawberry milkshake fan, so.
I know. They got a good one, dude.
No shit. All right.
Yeah, it's like perfect strawberry milkshakey taste. So.
Good to know. Yeah, like
in.
I always think the Friendly's strawberry milkshake is one of the great strawberry milkshakes. Am I wrong in thinking that? Have I romanticized that for some reason?
I wouldn't know entirely. Friendly's is usually solid ice cream. I don't know.
Yeah. The Friendly's strawberry milkshake.
I'm a big proponent of like diner milkshakes. Like, that
for
would be
sure.
My favorite.
Well, a diner strawberry milkshake is no joke.
Absolutely.
In like the what do you call that cup? What do you call that, John?
Dirt's getting bombed.
Yo, is that fucking fraud? Shout out to fraud. The strawberry fucking slammer, son. The strawberry slammer.
That's right.
Tell him when I blow up and I don't know nobody, I want him to name the strawberry slammer after me. That's when I know I've made it.
Your audio's off, Dirt.
You're mute, Dirt Malone. You're muted. Mute Malone.
Sorry about that. He just dropped the cake off.
Nice.
So maybe that's what's the dirty thing is gonna be.
There you go.
Hell yeah. Strawberry slammer.
All right, we got less than a minute to wrap this up.
All right, fellas, 40 days and 40 nights.
I'm fucking fired up.
Here's the list. Right here is the list. All of our
we got a list of some things up there. We got all 3 of our stacks are available on GCodenutrition.com. These
They
squad
are.
stacks,
They are.
they're out by the time you're seeing this. And keep your eyes peeled for 40/40 juice. We got a lot coming your way.
Lots of fucking juice
It's going
is
to be an
what we
awesome
do.
40 days, guys. I'm looking forward to it. Let's crush this shit.
Juice.
That's right. I
Awesome.
look forward to seeing you guys and getting some bro hugs in soon, hopefully.
Man, I can't
Absolutely,
wait to.
dude.
I can't wait to put some man on another man.
I'm
Can't
going to
wait
dump
to-
some fish guts down the back of your shirt.
When I go to a
Nice.
freaking trade show and sleep in the same room, you know?
That's right. Come on, man.
That's right.
I missed that, dude, for real.
Like real-
Same bed.
Like real men. Like real men.
Like, man, when are they going to make a bed?
You sleep naked with me like a real man, Scout. Sorry.
Facts.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right,
Let's get
fellas.
after it.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace, guys.